the video, people are watching, how long are they watching for? Are they watching the whole thing? And with that, there was definitely an improvement. But then the next question is, all watch time is not equal. Because you might make a video, and it's 40 minutes, people watch beginning to end, 10 out of 10, love your work, they learned something, they're motivated, they're keen. I also make a video, same amount of time, but I'm being problematic, or I'm making fun of someone, and people are watching to really get a full understanding of the story, but not really to say that this is amazing and satisfying content. And so then we've moved on from 2015 right up until today, where we're now trying to look at satisfaction, right? So someone's clicked, they've watched, they've stuck around, right? We've got the watch hours, but are they satisfied? How do they feel about this? So that is like the general summary. Then the big question, of course, is how do we measure satisfaction? Right? What is this recommendation system looking at when trying to gauge, okay, is this viewer keen or not keen? And so with that in mind, we take lots of different measures. Surveys is one of them. I don't know if you've seen this when you're online. Sometimes you'll watch a video and then later on it will be like, was that useful? Did it make sense? So that we take into consideration. We also take into consideration other factors, right? So sometimes you'll be online and you can click those 3 dots and say, not interested, when a video is being recommended to you. All of those factors are taken into consideration because at the end of the day, the aim is to ensure that we are improving the viewer's experience, right? And so when you're thinking about content, when you're thinking what works, what doesn't work, think more about the audience than anything else because the recommendation system is following them and what they're up to. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, but I don't want to mislead you at all. So I will also add that our recommendation system is taking in tons of different inputs. Over 80 billion viewer signals are being taken into consideration. From when I started until when I'm done with this presentation, whatever your audience is up to right now, it's learning from that as we go, right? And these are just some of the things that it's looking at, right? It's thinking, what do they watch? What do they not watch? Because when you're on your homepage and you get like 12 different videos, it's also trying to understand, okay, if I recommended this or suggested this, and you skipped it, but you watched the St. Twins video instead, all these pieces of information are being taken into consideration, not interested feedback, and of course, a whole lot more. So moving on and looking at where the algorithm is helping you, right? So when a viewer joins or gets onto YouTube, you'll see videos surface on home, you'll see it on a screen like this. We didn't want to show any videos, but you'll see it on suggested or underneath up next. Those videos that you see, even as a viewer yourself, are related to what you've been doing on the platform. So either you watch this video, you might also like this other one, or maybe you searched for something. And so it's recommending that. It's also good to keep in mind that different types of content will perform differently. So you can have a channel, like imagine I have a channel and one of the things I do is I post videos like this where I'm like, let's talk about the algorithm, right? And then I also post my daily vlogs. So you'd imagine for those 2 types of content, how people find them would be different, right? When it comes to the YouTube algorithm, there are lots of people that don't know who I am, don't care about where I drink my coffee, that just want that information. And so for that how to understand YouTube algorithm content, the how-to, you'd see a much bigger amount of audience coming in from search. And there it's not really about me, it's more about like what are people wanting to learn, what they're keen for. Then you'd see for other types of content, like if you make music, you might see that a lot of your traffic sources is coming in from playlists, right? Because if you think about how people listen to music, if you've got a study playlist or a cooking playlist, if you're into that kind of thing. Same with world news, right? So there now we're thinking about really quick, catchy topics. So if you are a lifestyle creator, it's about what event happened this past week, because if people are interested, that's something that it would want to sort of surface. So that's the one part to think about. Then as we go deeper, we're now looking at the personalization, then we'll talk about performance, and we'll also talk about external factors, right? Personalization, this is still within the recommendation system, and here what it's looking at is the viewer, right? What does this viewer watch? It's the same reason that all of us right now, we could take out our phones, open the YouTube app, and even though people have released videos and we're all in the same room, we would each see a very different homepage, right? If I open mine up, I can tell you for free, Lots of stuff about cooking. There might be some local stuff, some international stuff, but I've been trying to learn how to improve my cooking, so my homepage will probably recommend that, right? And so that's the personalization aspect. Second part you want to think about with personalization is also around viewers' interests, right? So if you think of even just catchphrases or trends that come and go, those things fluctuate, they go up and down. And this example here is just of a game, Fortnite. I don't know if there are any gamers in the room, but this is of some games, Fortnite, Minecraft, and you can see in the red, you can see the graph in the red, right? It was high. That was when Minecraft on YouTube, most searched. If you were a gaming creator, you made a video about that, views through the roof, right? Life was good. Now imagine that was your whole channel. You make Minecraft videos every day, you live stream, you this, you shorts, you're on it, you're on it. From a viewer interest perspective, you can see at some stage, after May 2017, we see a spike in Fortnite. A different game becomes popular. As a creator, your format hasn't changed. You're still playing the game. You're still giving us 4K videos. You're still on top of things, but you're making Minecraft videos, right? And so you might be panicking and thinking, oh my word, what's going on? But it's more that the audience's interest has pivoted, right? So those are things that you want to think about, and there's tons of tools as well on YouTube Studio that help you keep up to date with that. Then the next thing that we want to look at here is your appeal, engagement, and satisfaction. All of these things you can see on your back end when it comes to your studio. Underneath your analytics, you can see what's the engagement like, has it gone up, has it gone down. Great as well to think about your engagement too, to keep that community motivated. Lastly, and here's something that you can't control, but you can sort of keep an eye out on, right? There's this thing called seasonality. Think about, it's December, right? And if you know anything about December, December is not just a month, it's a vibe, it's a moment, right? Right? What you're doing in December, is it the exact same thing that you were doing in the second week of April? How about in mid-June? Was it the same thing you were doing in mid-June? Okay, so life basically as a whole changes in December. And so from a seasonality perspective, if your own life is changing, think about your viewers too, from a seasonality perspective. If you have tons of students and we all go on holiday, our behavior is going to change. Those things all impact how your videos perform, and from an algorithm perspective, remember all those factors it's taken in? What do they watch? What do they not watch? Maybe I'm watching something different. Maybe in December, instead of my cooking, I need to get it together and get my dance moves right. And so maybe my actual content consumption might change as a viewer as well. There's also topic interest. That one's a good one to think about. As a country, we won the World Cup. Now imagine from a YouTube perspective, people that don't even watch weekly sports content were there. We want to see highlights, we want to see how the boys are doing, right? And that's like a topic interest that just peaks. And so little things like that all change what's happening from a viewer perspective on the platform. And then of course, competition. If I'm literally the only creator in the whole world that makes, I don't know, is ASMR when you like eating and stuff? Yeah, I love to listen to that. If I was the only one making that, imagine my views, right? For people that are into it. Then all of a sudden, everyone in the room also starts making it. Okay, now there's variety. Now it's not just Twala that's eating pub in the corner. Now you've got someone who eats different types of food that you might be more interested in listening to. And so competition also plays a big factor in that. Thankfully, we'll be having some panels later on where you'll be able to see how people are in different niches. People like to say, oh, it's saturated, or there's too many of this, but you can always find your way if you learn to understand what are the other people doing? How can I do it my way? And how can I do it authentically? That's a conversation to have with the creators that'll be on stage. Another thing that can support you, of course, is getting curious, trying to understand your audience. These are things that are available to you from an insights perspective. Just out of show of interest, who here actually looks at their YouTube studio and looks at the data? Oh, nice, okay. Anybody here that's intimidated by looking at the data and the numbers and the vibes? I get you. Okay. It can be a lot, because on the one hand, we're trying to give you as much information as possible, right? We want to make sure you have what you need to make these decisions, but at the same time, it's like, okay, here's the information, what is it useful for? So here's some quick examples, right? So you can see here in the middle, this purple graph. I'm sure you've seen this one. As soon as you're on studio, it's on the first tab. This purple graph here is indicating to you what time of day the people that watch your channel are physically, literally on YouTube. And so, on the one hand, and I get this a lot, people say, okay, Twana, does that mean I must release my video at that time? This graph is really useful if you're live streaming or if you're going to Premiere, when you need your audience to be there at that time. For your regular uploads and that kind of stuff, you can use it as a guide. But I always think of it like a sandwich. I love to eat, you'll hear lots of food about with me. So if you think of it as a sandwich, right? If you made me a sandwich and it was, I don't know, midnight, midnight on Monday, where I'm not online, right? I'm asleep, and you just left it there. When I wake up, I will still eat that sandwich. One thing about me is I will still eat it, right? And it's the same with your content, is that you want to see that, use it as a guide for live streams and premieres, but for your regular uploads, it's more important that you're consistent. You said Fridays this time, you show up, the audience will then learn about that and show up that way. And even for those that come on later, much like myself,